So before we start the video, I decided to take a few shots of Reiko. She's chewing her sticks. I don't know if you guys have that brand in your country, but it's just a chewing toy for her teeth, and she loves it. And that ball over there, you know, that one here, that's a toy that Enrique got from IKEA. So, and she loves it. So if you guys are looking for a good present for your doggo, I think that ball is the best thing that we got for her. She loves it. She carries around, as you can see, like she's chewing her toy with the ball over there. So she loves it, and she just finished it, and I think it's time for us to start the video. So Reiko, say hi. And let's do this. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel. Firstly, I would like to apologize for last week. I was supposed to film a video last week, but I couldn't. I was kind of sick and I had a lot going on because of the PhD, and I didn't have the energy to you know, film a video for you guys, even though I enjoy it that much. Let me try close this and see if the light is better. It's not. I have to buy one of those rings, obviously, so you guys can see me better. Okay, it doesn't matter. So I would like to firstly say I'm sorry for that. I hope you guys forgive me, because it was not my goal not to film a video last week. But of course life happened and I didn't have any backup. I actually filmed a small video for you guys, but I found it very lack of energy and very meh, so I decided not to publish it, and I was like, I'm just apologizing next video. I hope everyone is okay. So I am a little bit better. I know you guys are very concerned about that. I am a little bit better, but I actually got my COVID vaccine, the fourth one, on Thursday, I think. Yeah, on Thursday. And yesterday me and Enrique, we spent all day in bed because we both got the shot, and it wasn't that easy. I thought it would be, you know, easy because it was the fourth one. It's not supposed to be that hard, but I think the last one, the third dose that I got, was in February 2022, and they actually started calling the 18 plus now in January 2023, and we decided to go on Thursday because they called us, and we decided to go. And I thought maybe because it's been like a year since I took the last shot, maybe that's why it hit me so hard. But I'm feeling better now. I don't have any fever. I actually yesterday I had a fever. I had a lot of body pains, like my body ached so much, but yeah, it's not a big deal. I'm very much better right now and feeling a lot better. So I think that today and tomorrow we'll stay at home and recover from, you know, everything, you know. So yeah, everything is just fine. And regarding the weather, because I know that is a very British thing to do, but I really like to talk about the weather. It's pretty cold, as always. So we actually had a couple of days of warm, like really warm, kind of like really hot, like 25-degree plus. So it was very hot, but all of a sudden we started to get cold again, so everything starts to freeze again, and I think we actually have snow in some parts of Portugal. So yeah, it's cold. And that's why I'm using this jumper again, because I'm really cold, and this one is from Osho, and I really like it. So it's very warm to be at home, you know, cozy. So yeah, that's not why you guys are here. You guys are here because of books, and I know that we are almost at the end of February, so as you guys know by now, I'll probably do a February wrap-up with all the books that I read in February, which weren't that much. I read a lot in January, and I think I kind of ended up in a reading slump, but it doesn't matter. I actually decided to do like a game. So let's see how it goes. So the game is kind of like, everybody knows this game. I saw it on talk shows, TV shows, whatever. It's This or That, and I decided to do that with books by the same authors that I read. I thought it was pretty interesting, and it has all the genre, all of like the different types of books and all of that. The main comment is the author. So let's start with one of my favorite authors of all time. I love her, and I so want to be her when I grow up. It's Ellie Hazelwood, so you guys know her by, you know, The Love Hypothesis. She's the author of The Love Hypothesis, she's the author of Love on the Brain, and her next book, Love Theoretically, will be coming out in June 2023, I think, May or June 2023, and I read both Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain, and let's talk about which book I prefer more. So in terms of plot, they are both similar. In a sense, they are both about academia and scientists and, you know, all of that. That's a main common between the two books. However, the first one, Love Hypothesis, is about a PhD candidate. So on one hand, you have, on Love Hypothesis, you have Adam and Olive, they are the main characters, and on the other, Love on the Brain, you have B and Levi. I think that's how you say, or Levi. I think it's Levi. Levi, it's from Attack on Titan. Let's just be honest. So on the other hand, in Love Hypothesis, Olive is a PhD candidate. She's on her third year. She's trying to navigate academia, and Adam is already a professor at university, so she is already working for and at academia, you know, publish papers and all of that. On Love on the Brain, B is already a doctor, so she already has her PhD, and she's a neuroscience scientist. That's how you say it in English. She's a neuroscientist, and she gets her life opportunity by working with NASA. That's where she ends up meeting again Levi because they know each other from many years ago, and from like many years ago. And on the other hand, Adam and Olive, they never met, assumably. They weren't colleagues. They, you know, Olive is in her PhD whilst Adam is already working, is a professor, so they don't have that in common, but B and Levi do have that in common. They were colleagues in faculty, in the university during their university years. So in terms of plot, Adam and Olive are supposed to be fake dating in order to guarantee to the academia that on one hand Adam wants to stay in that university and is very committed to that, and on the other the intentions of Olive are help her best friend date her former boyfriend. So her best friend ends up falling in love with Olive's ex, and she just wants her best friend to be happy, and that's why she starts fake dating Adam, you know, just to be clear. On the other hand, on Love on the Brain, you don't have a fake dating trope. You do have an enemies to lovers trope, because they were colleagues but they didn't like each other, and it's very interesting to see the development. In terms of plot twists, you don't have that much plot twists. It's not the purpose of the books, both of them. You do have some setbacks and some things that will happen during the book, you know, just to keep the adrenaline levels high, but you don't have like the major plot twist, something that is, oh my god, I never saw it coming. It's not the goal of the book, so don't be expecting that. However, both of them are pretty good. I really enjoyed both of them. Some people say they are similar, and I get what they are saying, because both of them are in academia, set in academia, and you know, it has a lot of academia university reference, which I like because I work in academia, so why not? But they are very different, and Reiko is just handing me her toys for me to play with her, so if I ever lose track of the thought, it's because of her. Just blame her. She's just doing me like, she's just handing me these things for me to throw at her. Come on, I'll show you later what she's doing. So, okay, which one is the best book? In my humble opinion, and again, it's my opinion, I really, really love The Love Hypothesis. I mean, probably because... my hair is on my nose. Probably because I'm also a PhD candidate, I'm trying to figure out academia and all of that, so probably because of that, I feel very connected with Olive. And I feel what Adam says about PhDs and working in academia and the importance of science really resonates with what I personally believe that science is supposed to be. And I think that's why I connect with The Love Hypothesis. So for me, personally, I like The Love Hypothesis more. Mainly because I connect with the characters, but also because I feel it's very different from what I've read so far. So we usually don't have that type of, intel and information and deep thought about academia and all of that in a book. You do have dark academia, but it's different, it's a different genre, it's different the way they talk about things. Here you are really talking about the real world and the problems that are affecting PhD candidate students, postdocs, all of that. So I think it was very interesting to see that in a book. I felt very represented and I really liked it, and I think that's why I have a special place in my heart for The Love Hypothesis, and it's my favorite. But I do love Love on the Brain, and I can't wait for Love Theoretically. And I love the covers. I mean, how can you not love the covers? Except those stickers. Please don't put those stickers. Nobody likes those stickers. Okay, the next one. These books are from Madeline Miller, Circe or The Song of Achilles. Now, I don't want to go into real depth about Greek mythology. You guys know Circe is from Ulysses and Odysseus story, and I really don't want to go into deep because I don't know how to pronounce the names in English. I studied Greek mythology and Greek culture in college. It was one of my mandatory courses, so I studied that, and I do know stuff, but I don't know how to say the names in English, and I don't want to mispronounce anything or offend anyone. So let's just say that Circe is a sorcerer, and that is just wrong because she's not a sorcerer. She's so much more than that. I think that I really liked Circe. I'm gonna start by saying that I really liked Circe. However, The Song of Achilles was, to me, it was perfect. Between those two, I prefer The Song of Achilles, by far. Every single time that everyone's, I'm kind of thinking about reading Madeline Miller, I'm like, dude, read The Song of Achilles. It's the best book you are ever going to read about Greek mythology. And I have a lot of books about Greek mythology, amazing books that you guys can check out on my Instagram page if you are interested about it. But The Song of Achilles was perfect. It was mind-blowing, it was cute, it was tragic, it was all of the feelings going on inside. So I always prefer that one. Furthermore, I felt like Circe was very slow-paced and very historical, but in a very boring sense. Rather than The Song of Achilles, it was more fast-paced, and even though it was also historic, I felt like the characters were easier to connect, and their tragedy was, I don't know, it was different. I don't know how to explain it, but for me, Circe was like a 3 out of 5, and Song of Achilles was a 10 out of 5. It's perfect. It's one of the best books I've ever read, and I love the book so much, and you guys have no idea how much I love the book. So if you guys are interested in reading anything by Madeline Miller, please start with The Song of Achilles. You already have it translated in Portuguese, so you are not missing out. Also, the Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain are also translated in Portuguese. Reiko is begging me to play with her. So if you hear anything, it's her. There we go. But they are also translated in Portuguese, so if you guys don't read in English, you don't have an excuse because the books are in Portuguese. But yeah, for me, The Song of Achilles. This one is from Helena Armas, or Helena Armas, sorry, she doesn't have the Helena Armas, and it's the Spanish Love Deception versus the American Roommate Experience. And okay, let's go. Let's talk about this for a moment. So, as most of you know by now, I was not a fan of romance, especially contemporary romance. I was a fan of fantasy, historical romance, yes, but fantasy mainly. And the book that made me actually start reading romance was The Love Hypothesis. I think that's why I have a special place for it in my heart. But it was the book that changed my perspective about rom-com. So I decided to give it a try, and the second book that I read was The Spanish Love Deception by Helena Armas, and I love it. I mean, Aaron is like the boyfriend. I love Adam, I love Aaron, I love them all, obviously. Like, you can't not love them, but Aaron was like amazing. It was the perfect book. So you have fake dating, you have a wedding, you have Latino representation, you have a lot of different groups there that are very good and very well represented. I thought that the ending was a bit forced. I get what Elena was trying to do, but I feel like it could... the way that the drama or the climax just rolled, it was very forced for me. I think that she just... It seemed like it was a teenager writing that part rather than a grown woman. Stop, you're distracting me. A grown woman. And I think that that was... I'm gonna show what she's doing. Yes. Estás a fazer rico. So, if you guys can really see, she's waiting for the ball to move, which means that she's waiting for me to move the ball. Let's see. This is my days. Let's show them. Okay, so now I have the ball and ta-da! I'm telling you guys, IKEA, the best ball for dogs ever. It's like €3 or something like that. Okay, can I go back to the video? So, sorry about that. It was the cutest moment of the video, obviously. And what I was saying, I was talking about, the climax part. That sounds bad. It's not what I meant. I think that she could have, developed it a little bit differently. And no, Reiko, I'm not going to pick up the ball. Jesus. And I think that she could have made it differently, and I think that it ended up really forced, in my opinion. Now, the roommate experience, the American roommate experience was it was, for me, the American roommate disaster. 10 out of 10, would not recommend. I didn't enjoy the book at all. I thought it was, firstly, I thought it was very forced. I think that why on earth would that ever happen in this world? And why on earth would that happen with a character like Lena controlling everything? So it didn't make any sense to me. And I read it all, but I was very like, why? Sheldon meme?
Why? But why? Oh, that's why.
And I didn't enjoy the book. So between the American roommate experience / disaster and Spanish Love Deception, I would recommend you guys to read Spanish Love Deception. Although I am really excited for her next book, because even though I didn't enjoy the American roommate experience, I know some people have, so maybe it was a me problem. And of course, this video is, or all of my videos are my opinion. So I'm just sharing that with you guys, for those of you who like to listen to me, which I'm very thankful. I prefer the Spanish Love Deception. I remember, actually, let me tell you something. I remember reading it, and I finished reading it, and me and Enrique were on a hike. We were on a hike in Mafra, in Tapada de Mafra, so Google it. And we were doing the 6-kilometer trail, and I remember it was... I finished reading the book, we went to the hike, and I was so like in the book, you know, my mind was still living in the Spanish Love Deception story, that I remember taking a picture of like a Portuguese traditional landscape that is similar to Spain, and posted it on Instagram and saying, "This is where Catalina and Aaron will marry." Which is not what happens at all, but I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? So I really enjoyed the book, that being said. The last two are very difficult, so let's start with Emily Henry. Book lovers or bitch read? Now, this is very difficult for me, I'm not even joking. I really enjoyed both of them. They are very different approaches, and I was not expecting to enjoy Emily Henry's books, because again, I was not a fan of rom-com at all, but I enjoyed it so damn much. I actually started by reading Bitch Read, and then I read Book Lovers. But I feel like, you know, Bitch Read is about two authors that make a bet and end up writing different styles that they usually write, because they are both in with an author's block, like a creative block. They can't write, and it was very interesting to see, you know, the creative part of how to write a book and what it means to like come out of your comfort zone and move away from the things that you are mostly safe, and or things that make you feel safe. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was one of those books that I really liked, and I probably will reread it. And the sun just came out, so you start seeing a lot of more light is because of that. However, Book Lovers was a very different approach to the idea of, you know, the Walmart kind of happy ending, because you do have two characters that are usually the characters that end up alone in those Hallmark or rom-com film/books, because they are the characters that love living in a city, that love their work, you know, like usually the anti-hero. Let's talk about Taylor Swift's song. They are usually the anti-hero. And I really enjoyed it, because most of the traces that we found in the female character Nora are some of the traces that myself feel. And you usually, when you don't go with the flow, when you don't follow the rules and, you know, the ideas and traditions that everyone follows in your family, in your society, you are usually the bad one. You are usually the bad seed, you know what I mean? So I feel like when reading Book Lovers, I really enjoyed you know, the way that Nora presents herself, and the way that she is actually a different character than every female character that we read in a rom-com. But at the same time, she's very, you know, she always thinks about her family. She gave up her dreams to help her family. So you actually have a character that has a lot of pain and grief and a dark past, and the male character as well. And they actually together, you know, decided to, you know, accept what they are, because that's who they are. And I really enjoyed it. So Book Lovers is, between those two, Book Lovers is my favorite, and I really, really, really liked it. And I think if you are, you know, trying to see if you like Emily Henry's approach, probably one of those books, you know, Beach Read or Book Lovers are both good, but I would highly recommend Book Lovers, because it's very, 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 very good. I'm gonna catch her ball. Now, the last this or that book. Throne of Glass versus A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is the hardest one, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, for me, Sarah J. Maas is the queen, and again, we are talking about fantasy books with a little bit of romance, with a lot of spiciness. It's a little bit hard for me to choose between Throne of Glass or A Court of Thorns and Roses, because I actually read Throne of Glass first, as most of people that follow Sarah J. Maas did, and Throne of Glass has a very special place in my heart. It was, all of the series was mind-blowing for me, and I was in a very difficult place during that time. So I started reading Throne of Glass in 2018 when I was finishing my master's degree, and I couldn't find a job at the moment, so I ended up looking for a job during 8 months, and I couldn't find anything, which is very, as most of you guys know, very depressing. And I was feeling very down because most of my thoughts were, why can't I find a job? What is wrong with me? I studied so hard, I had a lot of good grades, what is wrong? So I felt very insecure during that time, and Throne of Glass just showed. I had the Scribed app, I don't know if you guys know it, but it's very good. That's where I usually listen to my audiobooks. And I had the Scribed app downloaded. It was the first time that I was reading something on my phone, because I usually buy books or bought books, so it was my first time like reading something on the phone. It was very interesting, and I remember seeing that Throne of Glass and I was like, ooh, it sounds interesting, like, why not, let's read it. And I read the book in 2 days. So, and then I like read all of the series in 2018. The last book was Kingdom of Ash that came out in 18, and I read it in 19, so I took like 3 months to read all of the series. But I loved it, and I'm not even joking, I loved it. It was one of my favorite things ever, and that was actually when I started picking up reading again after so many years, and it changed my perspective of things, so it helped me a lot. However, when I moved to this house, one of my friends was like, if you like Sarah J Maas, please read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm like, yeah, but have you read Throne of Glass? And she was like, no. And I was like, so please do read it as well. She hasn't read it yet. Yes, I'm talking to you, you know which one you are, but she knows. But I followed her advice, and I actually ordered online A Court of Thorns and Roses from Book Depository. When it worked in Portugal, because I just ended up not buying books from Book Depository anymore because everything is lost in transit. So yeah, but at the time it worked, and I remember I was in the middle of the book and I was like, I need to get the other three, because we had already out, except A Court of Silver Frames, and I was like, I need to get them out. I need them, I am enjoying the story far too much, and I want it. And when I read A Court of Mist and Fury, you know, that part that Farah is going through, you know, I don't want to give any spoilers, but you know which part I'm talking about. It changed my perspective of things. And again, we are talking in 2020 when COVID happened, and I was like working, because we didn't stop working, even though half of the world did, and I'm very thankful for it, but we ended up working really hard and without schedules. So sometimes I was working till 11 p.m. and started working at 8 a.m. or something like that. And I was very thankful to have those books, like to get lost in a different world. And Farah's perspective was very interesting, and it helped me a lot. So if we are talking about the whole series, I prefer A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I cannot lie. I mean, I love Throne of Glass, I really love it. It's very difficult for me to say this. It's like picking your favorite child, which you shouldn't ask ever. But A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you are talking about individual book, A Court of Thorns and Roses as well. Sorry, my neighbors are moving around again. They're always moving. I don't know what's happening upstairs, but they are always moving. Again, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I really like Throne of Glass, but Court of Thorns and Roses changed everything for me, and it made me a Sarah J Maas fan. So I cannot, lie to myself and say, no, I prefer Throne of Glass. I don't. I prefer... If you give me A Court of Thorns and Roses and Throne of Glass, I would definitely choose A Court of Thorns and Roses, because I mean, it's amazing. It's one of those books one of those series that I always recommend to everyone. It changed my life And I'm not saying that just because yeah, I have to say it. I'm saying that because it really changed my life. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing week. Have a very good read, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.